Magic the Gathering is a game that features a vast and continuous multiverse of stories set across countless planes and that incorporates numerous themes. One of those themes is horror. With the beginning of October, so begins our countdown to Halloween. 30 days, 30 decks, 30 different creatures of the night, all culminating with a special 31st episode on Halloween Day itself. For those of you with a profound fascination of the macabre, I invite you to join me on this venture through 30 days of night. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm MTG Budget Brew, and welcome to day 25 of our 30 Days of Night. Today, we're playing with a fan favorite creature type that is known for its incredibly high synergy. Each creature has a Lord effect, which means that they buff each other creature of the same type, and that's what leads to them being so powerful. I am, of course, talking about Slivers. The 4 rares that I use for today's deck are a playset of Sliver Hive. It is a land that says tap, add a colorless, or tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a Sliver spell. Or you can pay 5, tap this, create a 1/1 colorless Sliver creature token, activate only if you control a Sliver. Next, we're running 3 other lands that can all tap for any color of mana for our Sliver spells. And that is 4 copies of Ancient Ziggurat, Secluded Courtyard, and 4 copies of Unclaimed Territory. Finally, to round out the mana base, we're running 2 copies of Cabaretti Courtyard and 2 copies of Riveteers Overlook. The Courtyard can search our library for a mountain, forest, or plains, and then Riveteers Overlook can search for a swamp, mountain, or forest. And we are running 1 of each of those basic land types. Alright, up next we have all of these slivers that we are running. That includes Striking Sliver, Sentinel Sliver, Leeching Sliver, Manaweft Sliver, Predatory Sliver, and Tempered Sliver. Sliver decks are usually pretty aggressive, and to help us keep in line with that, I decided to add a full playset of Changeling Outcast and Universal Automaton, which are actually shapeshifter creatures, but that means they have the Changeling ability and that they are every creature type. So that just gives us more 1-drop slivers for the deck. And finally, we have 1 non-creature spell in the deck. It is Hive Stirrings, 2 and a white for a sorcery that says create 2 1/1 colorless Sliver creature tokens. As far as our mana base is concerned, this is the only spell that you need to keep in the back of your mind when it comes to what lands you have on the battlefield. But in all of the games I've played so far, this issue has not come up, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. If we take a look at my untapped account, you can see that I'm currently 6-2 with the deck with a 75% win rate. It's 80% on the play and 67% on the draw. For version number 1 of this deck, I won't lie, I was super greedy and I was only running 16 lands because I have a Wooburg Vampires deck that only runs 16 lands and it works just fine. But for slivers, it did not feel good. So I made the change to cut out 8 sliver cards I was running, and since going back up to 24 lands, we are 6-1 with the deck. So the deck's doing pretty well. I like the deck list. Most sliver decks end up looking the same because there's only so many sliver cards, and if you're gonna build a sliver deck, you might as well use some of the best ones, right? But since we're a budget deck and I didn't use any of the rare slots on the actual sliver creatures themselves, the deck has a slightly different feel to it, and I like that. Our game plan's the same, it's just play out a bunch of slivers and then hope that's enough to win the game. But I like the way it feels. So let's go hop into some matches and see how the deck performs. Alright guys, here we are in game number 1. Our opponent is going first, and our opening hand looks pretty decent, pretty solid. Out of all the slivers that we're running, the one that I want to see the most is Leeching Sliver. This is, I think, the best card that we are running. Turn 1, we're just going to play out a Universal Automaton and a pass. Our opponent just played Altar of the Brood. It's a 1 mana artifact that says whenever another permanent you control enters, each opponent mills a card. So that is interesting. Turn 2, we're just going to play out Sentinel Sliver. So now our slivers have Vigilance, swing in for 1, set our opponent to 20. That's interesting. We're playing against potentially a mono black mill deck or a combo mill deck. Our opponent is going to Sheoldred's Edict us. We have to sacrifice a non-token creature. Sacrifice the Automaton. Poor guy. From here, we're going to play out a Sentinel Sliver, Changeling Outcast, and swing in for 2, setting our opponent down to 18. I'm going to drop a Cabaretti Courtyard to go search for a Plains, and then this will allow us to cast Hive Stirrings next turn. But right now, we're going to drop a Tempered Sliver. This one says Sliver creatures you control have, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. We're going to swing in for 5. Set our opponent down to 13, and all 3 of our creatures are going to get +1/+1 counters. Our opponent has missed some land drops. They only have 2 swamps, and I think that is really benefiting us right now, because I wouldn't be surprised if their deck is running board wipes, but the fact that they're stuck on 2 lands means they will not be wiping our board anytime soon. We draw into Leeching Sliver. I don't know if this is game, but there's going to be a lot of damage. We'll play that, swing out. It is game. Leeching Sliver says whenever Sliver you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life. On that attack, Leeching Sliver triggered 4 times. Our opponent lost 4 life, and then we connected for 10 more damage. All right, solid game 1. All right, here we are in game number 2. We are going first, and that is exactly what we hope for, since we want to be aggressive. So turn 1, we're going to start with, I think, Changeling Outcast. Changeling Outcast is very nice in this deck. It says this creature can block and can't be blocked. It's a good way to help us guarantee damage. Turn 2, I think we're just going to go as wide as we can. We're going to play out Striking Sliver and the Universal Automaton, and then we'll save Sentinel Sliver to play next turn. Connect for 1, set our opponent down to 19. They're going to cut down our Striking Sliver. So now our Slivers no longer have first strike. It's a bummer, but it is what it is. We'll drop our Sentinel Sliver, swing in for 2 more, set our opponent down to 17. Hopefully we top deck another creature. If not, our hand is not doing much. Our opponent plays Greedy Freebooter. When this creature dies, they get to scry 1 and create a treasure. We top deck another land. That's not great. From here, we'll go to combat. We'll swing the Outcast and the Sentinel Sliver, but I will hold back the Universal Automaton. They're going to chump with their Greedy Freebooter. Oh, actually, they're going to sacrifice it in response. Nice. They use Fanatical Offering. 1 in the black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards, and create a map token. Okay. Our opponent plays Burn Down the House. They deal 5 damage to every creature on the board. And I think we're probably just out of the game at this point. I'll play out a Changeling Outcast, but we have no gas in hand. And our start was surprisingly slow. Our opponent plays Ill-Tempered Loner. 4 mana 3/3 human werewolf. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, it deals damage to any target. Pay 1 in red. This creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. We find Leeching Sliver, but we find it a couple turns too late. I can still swing in with a Changeling Outcast, which is nice. So we'll deal 2 damage to our opponent. Set them down to 14, but I don't see us winning this one. And they destroy our Outcast. And yeah, we can go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll just say good game. All right, guys, here we are in game number 3, and this is more of what I'm talking about. 3 Leeching Slivers in our hand. That is filthy nasty. We're gonna start with, I think, a turn 1 Universal Automaton, and we'll pass. Turn 2, we're probably just gonna go Leeching Sliver. Turn 3, Striking Sliver, followed by a second copy of Leeching Sliver. So, Leeching Sliver number 1 is on the stack. It lands. Our opponent's holding priority. Will they let us swing? Go to combat, we swing. Opponent loses 1 life to Leeching Sliver. They take another 1 from the Automaton. They go down to 19, and they do nothing with their priority. Our opponent plays Mossborn Hydra. Oh my. We're not gonna have that much time to beat down our opponent. So, like I said, I'm gonna play out a Striking Sliver, then another copy of Leeching Sliver. We'll go to combat. Now our creatures have first strike, which means they're not going to block with the Hydra, which is good. We get double Leeching Sliver triggers. Our opponent loses 4 just on us declaring attacks. They take 2 more, they go down to 13. All right, the question is, how big can they make their Hydra this turn? Ooh. Rather than ramp, they cast Push. It's 1 and a hybrid Orzhov. Destroy target tapped creature. They kill one of our Leeching Slivers. They then use a Fabled Passage as a land for turn. Their Hydra goes up to a 4/4, and they do not attack. I didn't think they would. So turn 4 is going to look pretty similar. We are going to play out a Striking Sliver, followed by a Leeching Sliver. We'll swing with Striking Sliver number 1 and Universal Automaton. That will deal 4 damage to our opponent on attack. They go down to 9. They decide to block Striking Sliver with their Hydra. They take 1 more damage, go down to 8. All right, and as long as our board sticks around and we don't die this turn, we should be able to kill on our next attack. However, our opponent drops another Fabled Passage. Their Hydra goes up to a 16/16. If they can get 1 additional land down, we lose the game. As Overlord of the Hauntwoods, when it enters, they get 1 more land, they get an everywhere, and that is good game. We lose to the Hydra. Dang, that's too bad. Oh man, we were on the draw that game. Dude, if we had been on the play, we would have won. That's too bad. We lost the coin flip. All right, here we are in another game. We are going first. Our opponent is running 78 cards in their library. That is a strange number. We're gonna start with turn 1, Striking Sliver, and pass. For turn 2, I think I'm gonna get down our Cabaretti Courtyard, and I will grab a Plains, just in case we happen to top deck into Hive Stirrings. Then we're gonna play Striking Sliver, go to combat, swing for 1, set our opponent down to 19. Our opponent plays Druid of the Cowl. Okay. Since they have a 1/3 blocker, I think we have to get down a Predatory Sliver, which gives our other Sliver creatures +1/+1. Now we have two 2/2s that we can swing at safely into our opponent's blocker. They will block 1, they take 2, go down to 17, and we end. Oh, ew. That's terrifying. Our opponent just played Quicksilver Amulet. You can pay 4 mana, tap this. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That is very, very terrifying. Next turn, anything could be coming down. So I think for this turn, we just want to connect with as much damage as we possibly can. I'm going to play out another Predatory Sliver. We'll swing in for 9. Next turn, we can play a Leeching Sliver. That should be a guaranteed 4 more damage, set our opponent down to 4. And then hopefully they just don't have 2 more blockers. But we'll see what this amulet was for. Here it comes. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. That is not enough. We can just play out a Leeching Sliver. We don't even have to play out the second one, but I will. No, I won't. I won't. Because we don't even need it. We're going to swing out here. That Leeching Sliver number 1 will deal 4 damage. Our opponent only has 2 blockers, which means our remaining 2 slivers will connect to deal 6 damage. Set our opponent to -2. All right, sweet. We got the win. Didn't even need the second Leeching Sliver. Didn't even need it. All right, guys, here we are in another game, and this one will probably be our last. Our opponent's running 111 cards in their library. I don't understand what convinces people that that is the right number of cards for their deck. Makes no sense, none at all. Turn 1, we're going to start with a Striking Sliver. They're going to start with a turn 1 Scorch Spitter. Whenever this attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. For turn 2, I think we're going to get down our Leeching Sliver. Since we have first strike, they're not going to block with their Scorch Spitter. We can safely swing to get the Leeching Sliver's trigger. Set our opponent down to 18. You know what's surprising? I don't really like slivers. And that's surprising because I like creature-heavy decks. But the sliver cards, they just, they don't do it for me. The problem is there's not a ton of them, which means when people build decks, all sliver decks, they end up looking the same. So there's very little variety. I don't love that. 2, it requires 0 skill to build a sliver deck. Absolutely 0. You look up the word sliver, you throw in 36 slivers of any kind, any combination, the deck will perform well. And third, the third issue is an arena-specific issue. I don't like that on Arena, you can't open slivers from packs. The sliver cards are not found in any packs, which means that you have to craft all of them. And I don't love that. Even if you build a sliver deck using a bunch of commons and uncommons, it's going to cost you 36 wild cards in some combination to get a full sliver deck. And that's just kind of absurd. All right, our opponent played a Gutter Snipe, so they have a 2/2 on the board. If I swing, will they block with their Gutter Snipe? That is the question. I'm going to play out a Tempered Sliver. We're going to see if they block. On attack, we get 2 Leeching Sliver triggers. Our opponent goes down to 13. Do they block Predatory Sliver with their Gutter Snipe? I don't think they will. I think they should. Ooh, they do decide to make the trade. They take 2, they go down to 11, and our Leeching Sliver gets a counter for dealing combat damage. Our opponent plays Grafdigger's Cage. That is an interesting inclusion to have in their deck. This is a graveyard hate card. They swing their Scorch Spitter at us. There's no reason for us to risk blocking it, so we'll take the damage. They're running 111 cards in their library so that they can fit in things like this. That is a sideboard card. That should almost never be a main board card. All right, for turn 5, we have a second Tempered Sliver to drop, as well as a second Leeching Sliver. Our board's looking pretty good. We'll go to combat. On Declare Attackers, we get to deal 4 damage through our Leeching Sliver triggers. Set our opponent down to 7. They do nothing in response. They take 4, go down to 3, and then both of our creatures get 2 more +1/+1 counters put on them. So aside from like burn down the house right now, I think we're fine. I think this is just game over. They cast 2 copies of Samut's Sprint onto their Scorch Spitter, which says give it +2/+1 and it gains haste until end of turn, scry 1. They now have a 5/3 Scorch Spitter. They'll swing it at us. I'll say no blocks. We go down to 12, and that's just game as we declare attacks. Our Leeching Sliver will clean it up. All right. Well, that was a pretty clean final game. All right, guys, here we are on my untapped account. As you can see, we are now 9-5 with the deck with a 64% win rate. That is 67% on the play, 60% on the draw. So overall, the deck has done well still. Do I recommend that you make a sliver deck? Only if it's a deck that you think you'll play a decent amount of. Because like I said, you can't open any sliver cards from packs, which means it will be a very large wild card investment, just period. But if you want a deck that has a very simple strategy, does well, and if you like slivers, then yeah, absolutely. But if you're going to make a sliver deck, you might as well bump up your budget a little bit, upgrade the deck, get some of the better sliver cards. If you want a sliver deck that doesn't use as many rares, then this one will get the job done. It will. The only real advice I have for the deck is if you find your Cabaretti Courtyards, use them to grab your plains before grabbing a forest, just in case you draw into your Hive Stirrings. Because this plains is the only way that you can actually cast this. And my other piece of advice would be to go first. Win the coin flip every time. Go first. It'll definitely help your win rate. With all of that said, if you guys liked the video, you should like the video. If you liked me the video and you like Magic the Gathering, you should consider subscribing to the channel because that will get you more of all 3. And thank you guys again for joining me on day 25 of our 30 days of night. I hope to see you guys tomorrow.